Okay, let me ask you something. What is sharp, loud, and can dismember you? No, it is not a freshman congressman. It's a chainsaw. Fresno police are looking for a man who robbed an equipment store by sticking a chainsaw down his pants. That is definitely a different way to get buns of steel. Now, I'm not talking about this guy shoplifting a manual chainsaw like this. I'm talking full 16-inch bar, high revving, hope this doesn't bite you kind of chainsaw. The surveillance video shows the thief sticking the chainsaw down his pants and using his jacket to cover the engine. The thief and his idea were so ridiculous that the store owner probably never saw it coming. Well, if there's any glimmer of light to the story, at least this thief wasn't quite as stupid as the drunk teenager who used a chainsaw to rob a convenience store. He wore a flower pot on his head as this guy. Why? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I think this whole chainsaw thing sounds like an act of treason to me. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Treachery, maybe, Keith. But there is really no guarantee.
Ooh.
None at all. By the way, I'm just glad the guy didn't rev up the chainsaw after he put it in his pants. That would have been memorable. Yes. Well, it pains me to say this, but it's in Benton County, Arkansas, where police responded to a report of a shooting and found a man wearing a bullet-resistant vest with a red mark on his chest. Now, at first, he claimed the shots came somewhere from the woods, but then he finally broke down and admitted that he and a friend had been drinking, no surprise, when he got the brilliant idea of testing his bullet-resistant vest by putting it on and having his friend shoot at him with his .22 rifle. Did I mention that this all started with drinking? So he got angry after his friend shot too close to the edge of the vest and left a mark. So they switched. His friend put on the vest, and he fired the rest of the clip at him. Now, this either was the worst consumer product test ever or the worst IQ test. Here's the good news. We now know that bullet-resistant vests really work. The bad news, both men are charged with aggravated assault on common sense. You've heard of having a bee in your bonnet? Well, here's something even worse. A woman in Taiwan went to a hospital complaining of a pain in her left eye. So the doctors looked through a microscope and they found the cause of her bad buzz. There were 4 small bees living in her eye. Sounds like something out of a horror movie. Of course, a B-grade horror movie. Look, I'm sorry if these puns are giving you the hives. But these were sweat bees, a tiny species of bee that feeds off people's tears. Kind of like Republicans watching Rachel Maddow the night the Mueller report came out. So doctors removed the bees and said she will be fine. But here's the stinger, and it's a honey. A local entomology professor said she couldn't have asked for a better bee to sting her in her eye. I gotta be honest with you, I think if she'd asked for any bee to sting her in the eye, she would have needed a therapist, not an entomologist. Well, they say caffeine can be addictive. I think this next story proves that the craving for caffeine can be overwhelming. Right here in Tennessee, a lady was hankering for a cup of coffee from the local Waffle House, but it wasn't nearby. So she stole an electric shopping scooter from the Walmart and drove it all the way to the Waffle House to get that cup of joe. Crossville, Tennessee police arrested Sally Selby last week for electric scooter theft. Being that she was a coffee addict, they certainly had grounds. Ms. Shelby was spotted on a Walmart security video shopping in the cart initially, then test driving it around the parking lot before she finally hightailed it to the highway and headed straight to the Waffle House. Hopefully the officers gave her credit for being in the slow lane and not really opening that scooter up in the fast lane. But by the way, let me take a moment to espresso how wrong she was to steal that electric scooter. I'm sure she's going to find that there are no perks for someone like her behind bars. Well, like the semicolon who was given 2 sentences for breaking the law, thankfully, we've run out of time. So be sure to tell all your friends that we read the news